Every year, the NBA drafts top talent around the world, but there always remains one big question. Will this player develop into an all-star player or become just another bust? That's the million-dollar question the general managers have to face. Even the top prospects and most decorated college players can become NBA busts. Likewise, some of the rawest products have developed into NBA champions and have gone on to become some of the greatest of all time. Let's take a look at some of these NBA draft picks that ended up in absolute steals. Kicking off our list is none other than the six-time All-Star forward Jimmy Butler. After being drafted 30th overall by the Chicago Bulls, no one was certain what he'd turn out to be. Butler displayed flashes of his defensive potential, but a less than polished offensive game lowered his draft stock. Slowly but surely, Jimmy turned into one of the best defenders and hustle players in the league, averaging at least 1.6 steals in every season of his career except his first two. During his time with the Bulls, Butler blossomed into a star, boosting his offensive game from an average of 13.1 points a game all the way to 20. This gave the Bulls a new hope in offensive talent, a hope that had seemingly been lost in the injury-riddled Derrick Rose. This dramatic improvement won Jimmy the Most Improved Player award in the 2014-15 season, and since then, Butler has continued to get better year after year. After hopping around on different teams in Minnesota and Philadelphia, Butler is now playing for the Miami Heat and has since thrived. Just like Heat culture, Jimmy lives off the pillars of hard work, discipline, and accountability, which explains how he's found so much success. It's safe to say that Jimmy G. Buckets sure has come a long way in his astounding performance in the 2020 NBA Finals, where he averaged 26.2 points, 9.8 assists, and 8.3 rebounds, is a stat line that no one could have expected from a player drafted 30th overall. Next up on our list is the 6'11", 284-pound Serbian giant Nikola Jokic. Back in 2014, Jokic was still relatively unknown and not much stood out about the unathletic and burly Serbian center. He seemed ignorable. As a result, no one even saw Jokic get picked. The producers of the 2014 NBA draft actually decided to cut to a commercial break as the Denver Nuggets drafted Jokic in the second round as the 41st overall pick. Boy, did that not age well. Jokic would go on to prove that he deserved to be picked higher, since this draft still became the league MVP of the 2021 regular season. As the reigning MVP, Jokic is currently averaging a ridiculous 25.9 points, 13.7 rebounds, and 7.8 assists, and is a perfect example of being more than what meets the eye. Despite all his early complications with weight, he toned down and became downright elite. His trademark sombor shuffle, savvy and accurate passing, all combined with his elite rebounding and leadership have resulted in him setting an unprecedented new record for player efficiency rating at 33.11, the highest not just this season, but in all time. Let's not forget his legendary performance in the 2020 Western Conference playoffs, where Jokic helped carry the Nuggets, coming back from being down 1-3 in back-to-back rounds against the Jazz and Clippers. Even though they fell to the Lakers, Jokic proved just how invaluable he was as a player and is now showing us that he's revolutionizing the game for bigs. With the way he's playing, it's no surprise that Jokic is consistently leading the race for MVP. Next up, we have one of the greatest defenders of our current generation, Draymond Green. Drafted in 2012 by the Golden State Warriors as the 35th overall pick in the second round, Green has since grown to become an invaluable asset for the Warriors. After setting an all-time regular season record, along with winning 3 rings with the Warriors, fans sometimes scratch their heads as to how Green fell so low during his NBA draft. Looking back, this was because scouts at the time felt that it was important to attach a specific position to each player. As a result, the Michigan State product ended up being classified as too slow to play small forward, too small to be a legitimate power forward, too heavy to be an energy guy, and too volatile to be a glue guy. No one at the time saw the value Green could bring to a small ball-centric league. With a chip on his shoulder, Green went on to prove all of them wrong, with his tenacity, grit, and hustle, showing that the heart is bigger than the body. The former Defensive Player of the Year has shown incredible skills on the court through his hustle, vocability, and his ability to play incredible help defense. It's no wonder that he even went as far as to call himself the greatest defender of all time. Although it may seem far-fetched, Draymond has actually proven himself that he just might be able to live up to the title one day. Next on our list is none other than the Greek freak himself, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Selected as the 15th pick by the Milwaukee Bucks on the 2013 NBA Draft, Giannis showed us how one can go from a nobody to the best player in the league. His journey has been nothing short of incredible, with beginning so humble that he used to spend his childhood days selling goods on the street just to get by, sometimes having his first meal at 11 p.m. Despite this, the skinny Nigerian kid from Greece, who had a relatively difficult name to pronounce, managed to recently join Michael Jordan and Hakeem Olajuwon as the only players in NBA history to ever win a regular season MVP award, as Finals MVP award, and a Defensive Player of the Year award. Thanks to his legendary 50-point performance in the 2021 Finals, Giannis brought home the championship trophy for the Bucks, giving them their first title since 1971. Accomplishing all this by just age 27 is absolutely incredible and is a living testament of what hard work can achieve. Speaking of hard work, nobody could compare to the Black Mamba himself, Kobe Bryant. The Lakers traded with the Hornets for the 13th overall pick in the 1996 draft and managed to land perhaps one of the biggest draft steals we know today in Kobe Bryant. Poised with the Mamba mentality, Kobe would end his career having taught an entire generation of players about the importance of working hard. His work ethic and dedication was apparent as he rarely took days off, and it paid off with his astounding performances night in and night out, including his mind-shattering 81-point game against the Raptors. Kobe was a true student of the game who spent every one of his 20 years in the league sharpening his game and mind through extreme attention to detail and film. There's no surprise to see Kobe retired as a 5-time NBA champion and without a doubt, one of the most influential and greatest players of all time. With both the number 8 and 24 jerseys hanging on the rafters of the Crypto.com arena, Kobe's legacy is imprinted on the DNA of the NBA. Not bad for a 13th overall pick. The last person on our list is the Argentinian legend himself, Manu Ginobili. Selected as the 57th pick in the second round of the 1999 NBA Draft, Ginobili takes the cake as the lowest drafted person on this list. But if there's anything we've learned so far, it's to never underestimate a player based on their initial draft pick. Initially, Manu was so unknown that even his beloved teammate, Tim Duncan, had no idea who he was. Just take a look at what he had to say.
I sit at home, I watch the draft, and we pick people that I've never heard of. Sitting there, Emmanuel Ginobili.
Little did Duncan and the rest of the world know that Ginobili would become an invaluable asset to the Spurs as one of the most tricky and intelligent lefties of all time. Manu undoubtedly had the skills to be a starter on his team, but purposely chose to come off the bench to provide the Spurs an immediate edge regardless if they had a lead or not. From his wild passes to his clutch shots, Manu would go on to win 4 championships with the San Antonio Spurs. Although his rings are certainly impressive, his most amazing feat still has to be the Olympic gold medal that he won in 2004. He led the Argentinian team to one of the most iconic victories in the history of sports. They managed to defeat Team USA, which was a team filled with the best NBA All-Stars, including the likes of Allen Iverson, Dwayne Wade, and his very own Spurs superstar teammate, Tim Duncan. Manu dominated the tournament, averaging 19.3 points, 3.3 assists, and 4 rebounds, solidifying his legacy not just in the NBA, but in the entire basketball world. Overall, if there's one lesson that we learned so far, it's to never underestimate a player based on their draft pick. It's also impossible to know which prospects will flourish or turn out to be a bust, but it's important to never count them out because they just might turn out to be a hidden gem. With a little patience and hard work, teams can very well land on the next Jimmy Butler, Giannis, or even Kobe. The future of the NBA is bright, so don't be surprised if even those second-round picks end up being the next best draft steal.